is going on? I'm sorry, this whole situation just makes me want to curse excessively. Maduro. Okay, let's get serious. Well, if you follow me or you live in Latin America, you might have some idea of the country's current political situation. But if you don't, or you live under a rock, or don't have a cell phone, but like, who doesn't own a phone? You might find this video helpful as a quick run through of what is basically going down in Venezuela. And might I just add as a quick side note before I get started, as an American who's really interested in foreign politics and country relations, it's really cool to be here in the neighboring Colombia and seeing how this is all playing out, despite the fact that everything that's going on is very saddening. Taking that into account, I feel that I'm in this unique position to be sharing my reflections to my English-speaking audiences, especially, given that all the media coverage in the States or any other English-speaking country could really lack that sentiment or gravity of the situation and how it fits into the bigger picture. To those it doesn't concern, it may just be seen as everyday news, when it's really not. It's way more concerning than your everyday news. And part of my purpose for these videos is for my English-speaking audiences to become more educated about important issues happening in the Americas. So, how did Venezuela even get to this point? Well, I can tell you it did not happen overnight. It had its beginnings with the rise of the populist leader Hugo Chavez in the 1990s. He won the presidency in 98, promulgating a message of power to the people. He certainly had no interest in giving power to the people. He soon consolidated his power through various reforms and replaced the Congress with the National Assembly, made entirely of his supporters. Sound kind of dictator-ish? He began a war on the private sector, nationalized the oil reserves, and replaced those skilled technicians with none other than his supporters. You get where I'm going with this? So what happened as a result? Oh, I don't know. The company was irrevocably damaged. Production dropped dramatically. The injury rate more than tripled, and the country had plunged headfirst into an economic crisis. So in response to this, Venezuelans began protesting this corruption, something they're really good at. Chavez responded by funneling state money into small armed groups to control the masses and subdue the protesters. The murder rate spiked to levels that called the attention of the UN, and Venezuelans inevitably began to flee. And as you guessed, the crisis only worsened under Maduro, Chavez's predecessor and strong supporter, when he became president in 2013. But instead of stagnating at simply an economic crisis, Maduro decided to make decisions to elevate it to a humanitarian disaster. And like the smart cookie he was, he just said, oh, we have no more money. Let's just print some more. Easy peasy. Just wave the one for more money. Abracadabra. More money. Wingardium Leviosa. This then left the country with a major food shortage and Angel Falls high inflation. For those of you that don't know, that's the highest waterfall on earth, also located in Venezuela. With no way to make a living and dead as hell grocery stores, what do you think they're gonna do, Maduro? Draw a bubble bath and wait for change? No! These courageous Venezuelans went out to the streets only to be met by Maduro's heavily armed police and military units, resulting instead in bloodbaths. Guys, the exodus of Venezuelans is compared to that of Syria, according to the UNHCR, and it surpasses the mass migrations of refugees crossing over to Europe from northern Africa. Which is part of the reason why I'm so frustrated as to why in the media it's not portrayed as big of a deal as it really is. Venezuela has seen the absolute worst under this tyrant, who has authorized and ordered the torture of prisoners, attacks against journalists, and the excessive use of force. And for that, Venezuelans joined together 2 weeks ago on the 23rd of January to remove this dictator and establish peace and liberty in their beautiful country again. I was lucky enough to witness the mass gatherings of Venezuelans here in Medellin at the Parque de los Luces.
Lo que quieren es libertad, o sea, ninguna de estas cosas el pueblo la está aceptando, lo que quiere es la libertad ya del país.
típica chicha venezolana hecha de arroz. Se sirve con canela y leche condensada, con Oreo o con galleta con cosete. Muy divino, excelente.
Venezuelans are fighters. They are strong, they are courageous, they are a powerful force that shows us all what it means to fight for justice and peace. And they made history on the 23rd of January, and there's no turning back. But there's still work to be done, and just because you're not Venezuelan doesn't mean that you can't do something about it. As an American, you can exercise your democratic duties and call your congressman to put pressure on this regime. If you don't own a phone, but like, who doesn't own a phone? You can always support your local Venezuelan business and other individuals like Uber drivers, domestic workers, etc. Trust me, there are probably Venezuelans somewhere in your city or town. And to show you guys visually, here is a graphic that shows where the Venezuelan population has been dispersed. So basically, you have no excuse for not going out to go eat the delicious arepas. And the third and final thing you can always do is donate. There are tons of organizations and causes on GoFundMe, whether it be to malnourished children in Venezuela, to the protesters funding for their helmets and vests. There are a few others I can recommend too, and I'll put the links in the description. Cuatro por Venezuela and Caritas Felices, which I have donated to personally. I understand that this isn't the most pressuring issue currently in the US government, given that we just got back last week from our country's longest government shutdown. Thanks, Trump. But it is the most concerning issue in all of Latin America. What we will allow to happen in one area of the world really affects us all and says something about the way that we prioritize human rights in today's world, here in 2019. But here we are, Venezuela, and here is one gringa más who cares about your future and the success of seeing your nation thrive again. And seeing Maduro behind bars in solitary confinement for life. You already know this, but it's worth saying it once more. Siempre adelante, adelante siempre. Nos vemos en el próximo. Chao. Look at this.